Good morning, guys. This is Chris with CodeChris.com. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing. If you are new here, please be sure to subscribe to the newsletter. Please like and share. With all that being said, today we're going to be discussing the CSS Transform attribute. Why bringing it up at all? Well, because what it does is it will allow you to do a bunch of really cool things once you understand it. You can do things where you can trigger things like having something orbit around something else, being triggered by a click. You can have all sorts of cool things like rotating cubes, right? You can do a lot of really interesting things without needing to go into complexities or overcoding yourself. So today we're going to be using a very simple example. A link will be provided in the description area.
Now, shall we begin?
With this, what we have is a very simple setup. It's simply a div wrapper, right, across the whole thing, one div, and then two images. The first image is the Earth. The first image has a class of Earth. I just threw in a source image of an Earth picture I found, and the second image has a class of Moon, and I threw in a source image I found of Moon. You do not have to follow this tutorial exactly to a T. This is really about higher level concepts. A lot of tutorials end up just taking you through a step-by-step process. Here I just want to cover some higher level stuff requiring you to actually follow me along. As far as the code goes, what we have here is a basic setup with just a wrapper. All this black is the background. It goes across the entire thing. The moon and the earth are simply absolutely positioned. You can ignore this information that is commented out for the moment. I just have the position absolutes, and I gave them borders so that they are on top of each other as well as easy to see against the black background. Over on this right hand side, you probably noticed that I have this 3D program going on. What I've done is I simulated the exact same setup but in 3D space so that we can get a better understanding of exactly what's going on. Now, as your DOM, as the browser reads the DOM, what's going on is it's going to read wrapper. Okay, cool. It puts that on the screen. Then it reads Earth. Okay, cool. Puts that on top of wrapper. And then image. Oh, there's another image. If it's absolutely positioned, it'll put it on top of, or if it's relative, it's actually below. This is how z-index works, right? So if z-index is a higher number, it'll be above something or below something. Now over here we have the 3D space that is representative of what essentially the DOM is seeing, because when you're on your browser, so if you were on your browser, you would see essentially this element, and on top of it, it's on top of this other element. Okay. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, so CSS Transform, there's a number of things you can do with a transform. You can, first of all, move things up and down. You can move them left and right. And when we eventually do get into it, which I will not be doing today, we will talk about Z, which allows you to bring things forward and back, right? For sake of argument today, we're just going to be mainly focusing on the translation of X and Y, and that can take you pretty far by itself. Now, what are these transforms, rotates, all that stuff? The first thing is that right here in this 3D program, you see these arrows. These arrows are representative of the axes which you can move, representing X, Y, and Z. If you remember back to your days of geometry or basic math class, you probably remember X and Y. So X would go across and Y would go up and down. That's the same thing, and these are just a visual representation of that, which you do not have over here. However, if I was to do something rather basic and say transform, let's just say 200 pixels, we'll go ahead and see that our moon oh, right. What am I doing? Transform X. So you declare the direction or the axes that you're pulling this along. There you go, 200 pixels, right? And so what we did is imagine that these arrows are really like really long strings. And when you're adding and subtracting value from this, what you're really doing is you're pulling or pushing along that string. So here you'll see translate x. If I was to move the value up, it moves one direction, and into the negatives, it moves the opposite direction. So this is not representative of pixels, but rather just units. Over here, we obviously have pixels. Now you can do this with VH, you can do it with PC, whatever it is you want to do. We're just going over the higher level stuff at the moment. So now the next thing is we have the Y. Alright, so translate Y would do the exact opposite, right? We're going to raise value, lower value, etc. Now, because of the nature of the web browser and the history of the net, that's really not important to get into. The interesting thing about this is that adding value will not actually bring the Y up. It's actually going to bring it down. Okay, so it's kind of upside down. The negative values will make it go up, and the positive values will make it go down.